Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are watching from. This is Genova Diagnostics Live. Welcome, welcome. My name is Donna Filatova. I'm a medical education specialist here at Genova. I am also a doctor of clinical nutrition by training. So welcome. These are the series that we are calling Testing Tuesdays. And so you guys might have noticed that we're plugging in and going live every day of the week and also have a video post every weekend. So thank you guys for watching. I hope everybody is doing great. Everybody is staying safe. So today I just kind of wanted to piggyback on what Dr. Stubbe was covering yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, it's still available in the stories under live. So you can still watch it for another 2 hours, I believe. So welcome, and today we're going to talk about some GI-related health. So I wanted to cover the topic of digestion and absorption because it's so important, before we start testing for nutritional deficiencies or insufficiencies. So we want to understand whether or not our patients are digesting and absorbing. Right. So digestion, as we know, begins in the mouth. So the act of chewing is really, really important. Sometimes we forget that. So before we even start looking at deficiencies, we want to know if digestion and absorption is even happening. So how do we do that? So our very comprehensive GI effects profile allows you to understand that. And that is actually through several biomarkers where you can test several analytes where you can understand whether or not the patient is digesting and absorbing. So what are those? So you may have noticed there's pancreatic elastase 1, there's products of protein breakdown, and fecal fats. And fecal fats, we have several biomarkers that comprise the fecal fat total. So a really fast overview with pancreatic elastase 1, why do we care? Well, we want to make sure that the pancreas, the exocrine function of the pancreas is doing well, right? That we are able to produce these pancreatic enzymes, and that marker allows us to get a feel of how that is going for our patient. Next, we have products of protein breakdown. Why are those important? So you may have heard Dr. Stubbe yesterday mentioning about small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and how we can see certain patterns on GI effects profile related to potential dysbiosis or overgrowth. This is, of course, not a profile that is diagnostic for SIBO. However, we can pick up on certain patterns. So how is that? So with products of protein breakdown, what are they? So if we don't digest and absorb our proteins in the small intestine, in the colon, bacteria has a chance to ferment it. And that fermentation is what is products of protein breakdown. So these are byproducts. And on our test, you'll see isovalerate, valerate, and isobutyrate. So these are the putrefactive short-chain fatty acids. And we'll talk about other short-chain fatty acids that are related to fibers. Maybe next Tuesday we'll cover that. So really important. So if the products of protein breakdown are shifted all the way to the right, for example, well, we may think that maybe a patient is having a diet that is really robust in protein. So maybe paleo type diet. Maybe that's what's going on. But sometimes when it's really elevated and there are signs and symptoms of dysbiosis, well, maybe that's one of the patterns that we may pick up on and think further. Maybe that will prompt SIBO testing. That's the breath test, right? So if, on the other hand, it's lower, we may think, well, maybe it's slower transit. So there's more time to absorb and digest. So really understanding that is really, really important. Similar idea with fecal fat. So we have fecal fat total, and then we have 4 markers that kind of comprise that total. And those are triglycerides, cholesterol, long-chain fatty acids, phospholipids. So we want to understand whether or not the fat digestion and absorption is going well for our patients, right? So if, again, markers, for the most part, we're looking for a pattern. If most of them are shifted to the right, then we may think, well, maybe this patient is on ketogenic diet. Maybe there's a lot of protein coming in from the diet, fats coming in from the diet. Maybe that's what's going on. But sometimes it's digestion and absorption. So maldigestion, malabsorption may shift these markers all the way to the right when you're looking at the profile. And why is that important? Well, if we don't digest and absorb our food, right, so how many patients, clinicians have that are chronically on PPIs, that, maybe are experiencing hypochlorhydria, so lower stomach acid. So we want to understand these things so we can implement specific therapeutic, therapeutic conditions. So that is really, really, really important to understand, right? So you guys, I wanted to make sure that these are some of the topics that we're covering are really of value to you. So feel free to email us at info@gdx.net if you want to share some feedback or ask any questions. If you are wanted to call our client services, you can reach us at 800-522-4762. And just be sure to plug in. Tuesdays are when our podcast episode drops. So today, Betty and Michael are talking to Dr. Nate Bergman about optimizing the aging brain. Really important topic. And tomorrow, make sure you plug in to meet Dr. Warren Brown. I think he's covering nutrition-related topic tomorrow. So be sure to plug in. And thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.